Season's greeting, everybody, and welcome to a special episode of Dis to Digital, where we talk about today's newest titles and the classics that shape them. As always, I'm your host, Brett Clark, and joined with me is the lovely Mr. Matt Keaton. Matt, how you doing?
Howdy, y'all. Merry Diskmas, everyone. I'm
Yes,
doing
Merry
great.
Discmas. Be very careful when you say very Discmas to people. We've probably messed up 6 times now
Yeah,
trying to
Merry
say it.
Diskmas. You got to be very careful when you say that, but we're going to throw that out there. Man, I'm
Yeah.
feeling great. Oh man, I'm just so excited for the holidays and
hmm
I'm pumped. I'm just like so stoked.
It is a wonderful time of the year, and for me, one of the things that I really like the most about like Christmas and the holiday spirit is just like it's the spirit of it. There's it's a time where everyone's like kind of like family get together, like family values, and it's just everyone's getting together to like give gifts and just to be happy with one another. It's just a great time of the year. The uh sorry, got caught up there a little emotional if you can't tell on this podcast. No, but I was gonna ask you, what does the holiday really mean to you, Matt?
So it's kind of transcended over the years. When you're
Mhm.
younger, it's about Christmas time. Well, what am I going to get for gifts?
Oh
And
yeah.
when you grow a little bit older, uh, you kind of learn to respect a little bit different things about the holidays.
hmm
Uh, for me, it's more about like the celebration and the pageantry, so to speak. Putting up the Christmas tree, hanging up the wreath.
Oh yeah.
And putting whatever you can tolerate as far as Christmas music goes. But
Oh
me,
yeah.
me and my wife personally prefer like the traditional Christmas music, not the
Yeah.
Mariah Carey and all this stuff in the stores.
Oh, you
But
don't like some Mariah Carey?
no, but yeah, it's about the pageantry and the
hmm
celebration and the continuing of specific traditions. So
Yeah.
when I was younger, I used to have different Christmas traditions, and now we have different ones with my wife and I. So it's kind of like just a time to just get together with family and just spend some time with each other because that's super
Mhm.
important.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. For me, luckily, being out of retail, I don't have to listen to the Christmas music starting the day after Thanksgiving. Yeah, I know. Really, it's the worst part about it is that one of my favorite like songs is constantly played. It was constantly played at Best Buy, and I've only been to Best Buy maybe twice during the holiday season, so I'm not gonna get to hear that song. And I was a little upset because I'm like, oh, where is it?
Mhm.
It was a Ariana Grande song, and I don't remember exactly what the name of it is. Sorry, Ariana Grande. It's like your 5 Christmas songs. I can't remember all of them. But what I started doing when I used to work at Best Buy was because they would play Christmas music over the intercoms, and the managers could turn it down a little bit. Like you couldn't turn it off, but you could turn it down a little bit. I would start playing what's called Christmas trap. So it's just like super like urban beat, like ho ho ho, like it's just it was so good. It's actually on my Spotify public. I think it's a public playlist if you want to hear it. But I just that for me was kind of what the holiday was all about. Was when I was working on retail, it was about having an excuse to play that Christmas trap playlist.
Nice.
And now that I'm out of it, it's more like you said, family values, and I really don't get to see my family that much. It's not like, oh, I can't see them. It's just more of like, life's busy.
Hmm.
And I try to go over as often as I can, but definitely towards holidays and like family get togethers, that's when coordination has to be there. So I'm like talking to them more because like you have to know what time to come over and what to bring. So that's what I really like about the holidays, is getting to see extended family I don't normally get to see throughout the year. And for me, it's also just a really nice time to spend time with my immediate family as well, because living so close to them, I still don't get to see them every single day
Hmm.
like I used to. So it's it's a time for spending time with people you love, and I think that's kind of true for most people in the holiday. Now, presents, yes, we don't mind presents here on Dis Digital, but I mean, the other thing was is for the holiday. Did you have like any traditions? You said you said you were making some new ones with your wife. Like, what are some of those traditions?
So usually it's in the form of like Christmas dinner, but this year
Okay.
with my new job, finally, first time I don't have to work retail, so we've had to change up the ball game. And
hmm
I am actually working on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, so that's kind of an unfortunate
Ooh.
twist. But we're gonna make the most of it, and we're gonna have
Yep.
our Christmas dinner on Christmas Eve, and
There
open
you
our
go.
presents to each other then. and then just celebrate the night, and then Christmas Day comes and I'll work, and at the end of the
Mm.
day, it pays off, but it's kind of a new thing for us. So but yeah, for the tradition, we just usually watch Christmas movies. We've been binging on some, and we just recently watched Vegas, no, not Vegas, the Christmas Vacation, National
Oh,
Lampoon's.
I was like,
Uh,
there's like Christmas Vegas movie.
we do have to follow the tradition and watch Die Hard though, so
Oh yeah.
we're gonna get that ready for tomorrow night, and just have a good time. So yeah.
Yeah, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. For any of those who try to argue it, they reference Christmas plenty of times in it. So it is. You can debate Matt on that. For me, last year was the first year I watched A Christmas Story. Can you
Oh,
believe that?
your first time?
First time. Like,
Wow.
here's
Okay.
so I don't mean to be like sob story, but I was neglected as a child from like really good movies, like The Lion King. My dad's like, if you want to watch Hamlet, we'll actually show you real Hamlet, sort of mindset, you know. And then The Sandlot. I'm like, Dad, why'd you never show me The Sandlot? He's like, that movie sucks. Like Jurassic Park, I didn't get to see. So, A Christmas Story was next on the list, and I got to watch it last year for the first time, all the way through with Kylie and her family. So I don't know if that's a tradition or not. I don't really need to see it again, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
It is a traditional movie, so it's in our rotation, and you
Yeah,
got
it's
to
like
see
running
Christmas
24/7.
Story. You got to see It's a
Yeah.
Wonderful Life. You got to see all of that.
Oh yeah. A Wonderful Life.
Scrooge. You got to see them all.
Have you seen Holiday Inn?
I don't recall.
Oh, Holiday Inn. The has I think Bing Crosby in it. Really highly recommend. Actually, I really shouldn't recommend it. There's a during the 4th of July, because they open up only for the holidays or whatever, and during the 4th of July, me and my sister were pretty young, and they blackfaced, and me and my sister were both like, whoa. And my dad's like, oh crap, I forgot this was in there. Like, I'm like, this is why we never see this movie on TV.
Had to
Like,
explain it to you.
yeah, I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. Like, and so yeah, but it's kind of it's not really a classic, but it does, it's got a classic Christmas song. I'm trying to remember what it is. I don't know if it's Silver Bells. Holiday Inn had an iconic song in it. I am gonna have to figure it out because it's gonna drive me crazy. Holiday Inn had which iconic song? Christmas song. I'm sorry, Matt. We came very unprepared. No way. Holiday Inn, not giving it to me. What the heck? Well, if someone knows it, please comment it on the podcast, because it's going to drive me crazy. Because the whole point is that the guy sings her this song, and then she goes to like an audition and sings his song when he starts playing on the piano, and that's how they fall in love, yada, yada, you know? But my favorite song in that entire movie is the You're Easy to Dance With song, where he's like, you're easy to dance with, and he just starts like tap dancing like crazy because he thinks that's going to win over the women, you know?
Yeah.
I digress. We're getting too into depth into Holiday Inn. But speaking of the holidays, Matt, we all hate resellers, scalping before the holiday comes out, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? So I didn't tell you this, but I wanted to surprise you. What do you think I got, firstly?
Something in the realm of gaming, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
You probably got something. If you're talking about scalping, you probably got something that's hot and new. That's not that just came out recently.
Yeah, PS5. You thought I was joking earlier.
I thought you were.
No, I'm kidding. I did not get a PS5. No, I did not get a PS5. Matt, before the podcast, I joked about it. He's like, "What?" I'm like, "No." If I just busted out a PS5 box right now, you'd probably like crap your pants.
I probably would.
Yeah, no. If I got a PS5, I would have first offered it up to one of you guys first, because I'm like, I ain't playing this. I don't have any games I want to get for it. Remember I was talking about who in the world likes Fire Emblem? Like, like how is it that popular? Why are people trying to scalp it? Look at this thing, dude. Fire Emblem 30th anniversary. I got this thing for $30 at GameStop.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That is
brand
awesome.
new. The reason is
Wow.
because apparently none of the scalpers can sell it because it's not as popular as everyone thought it would be.
Okay.
Surprised who called it? I did. And I actually have not opened it yet. It's still like new in box, and I'm afraid to open. I kind of want to open it, but at the same time, really don't
Nice. Yeah.
open it yet.
That's awesome, man.
But yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. Just be patient. Don't give in to scalpers, because when they don't make money, they'll start returning stuff, and then
Yeah.
you can get it super cheap.
Yeah.
But yeah, that
That
was
that is
holiday seasons right here, man.
that is awesome. That
Yeah,
is
I don't know. I
awesome.
don't know what I'm gonna do with it now, though. I've already played the game. But no, that was really cool. That was a really cool find. I also got Black Ops for the PS4 for Kylie, so she can play zombies with us because she's pretty good at zombies. And I feel
Nice.
like, you know, with me just getting it, I'll definitely be playing some more zombies. And the fact that it's cross-platform, I'm like, oh, perfect. I can play with her and her friends, and still like dominate with my headshots, with the mouse and keyboard. But I don't know. Is there anything that you kind of splurged on yourself without? Did you get yourself a Christmas gift?
um. Hmm. Not really. I mean, I guess
Mm.
maybe the PlayStation 4 version of Cyberpunk. If I don't know if you'd really call that
Yeah.
special. I mean, I got the Johnny Silverhand statue, the guidebook. I mean, I really didn't splurge for
Mhm.
myself, really. Um,
Yeah.
I usually don't. I mean, so it's kind of hard. So, like, if you're talking about like gifts to give for Christmas, that's my thing.
Mhm.
Like, I love giving to everyone,
Mhm.
and so, um, for me, it was like, what do I do? So usually, what happens like throughout the year, you buy my wife like an iPad, Apple Watch, things like that, and then it's at Christmas time. It's like, oh, it's hard to choose
Yep.
what to get as a gift. So it was very difficult. But for me, I kind of spoil myself all year long. Really, I mean, I spoil both of us all year long, and then Christmas
Oh
comes
yeah.
and it's like slim pickings and hard to choose because like you have everything, and
Yeah.
so yeah,
I'll have to go
I
on that.
really kind of spoiled myself throughout the year. I guess maybe my gaming PC earlier this year was a spoil.
Oh yeah.
So that's pretty much it, man. Nothing too flashy.
Yeah. That was Christmas in July for you.
Yes, it
So like,
was, and man,
yeah.
it's a gift that keeps on giving, man.
Yep. The whole year round. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation reference for those of you who got it. The Now for me, I spoil myself throughout the year. I was actually earlier in the year spoiling myself with statues, and I told myself you're not allowed to buy any statues for yourself during the holiday season. And guess what? All the statues I wanted. I'm kind of a big Naruto fan. They had all of their statues come out in December. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, why? And they're like all on sale.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, I promised myself I wouldn't buy it. So I was really good. And so instead I spent the same amount of money and got the 30th anniversary of Fire Emblem, 2 copies of Black Ops. Like
Yeah.
it's like, well, I didn't give in, but I still splurged and got Black Ops finally. Even though I said I wasn't gonna originally get Black Ops, I did, and I don't regret it. But you said you like to give. I love to give gifts too. I kind of spoil Kylie throughout the year. You know,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes just like random games, like Crash Bandicoot was kind of just like oh, let's get it, play it together,
Mm-hmm.
kind of a splurge. But really, it's also spoiling myself because I like to spend money on games. So it's almost like a win-win. Like I get to spoil her and say it's
Mm-hmm.
for her, but in reality, it's also for me. Like that's the good thing about being gamers is that like, oh, I got this new monitor that I'm gonna give you my old one for, and I get a new monitor, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that later. What game do you gift people? Like if someone just got a new console, like what would be your game that you would recommend?
Specifically a brand new console, like next gen, or like.
Anything. So like for me, my game that I always kind of recommend for people, no matter what system they get, is Ultimate Chicken Horse. Like I just absolutely love that game.
You
It's a
keep
fun.
talking about. I gotta play that one day.
We'll play it. It's such a good party game.
Mm-hmm.
You can have 4 players on it, all on one system locally. You can play online, and the concept's super simple. But the thing is that at the same time, the skill requirement in the game is the skill ceiling is pretty high. So like for instance, uh, people lay traps or whatever. Well, you can be good enough to get around those traps. And if you plan strategically, you can make these really hard like obstacles for people to get around. But at the same time, it's kind of dumb luck, honestly, because like if you get a jetpack or someone beats you to the jetpack and they jetpack over all the obstacles on the other side, it's like, well, now you've got to go past the impossible obstacle course you just made, you know? So that's why I always recommend it. And I think it's just a really safe game to always recommend to people because I think everybody, it's kind of like Mario Party. It's safe for all ages, sort of thing.
It makes sense.
What about you? You got anything you can think of now?
Hmm.
If not,
I
I do have some responses from the audience.
So for me, I usually would recommend for people to try to save some money. So
Mhm.
I would recommend games that are possibly on sale during the holidays and make
Oh
some
yeah.
recommendations. I've got one. I'm very big on detective games and
Hmm.
like being able to interact with them and play them. And the franchise and the one off, but still probably one of my most fun games of all time was LA Noir,
Oh
and
yes.
it's actually available right now on Steam for like $9, like the full complete edition.
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
would recommend something like that. And it doesn't have to necessarily be that, but I recommend people to kind of just check out the sales during the holidays because
Hmm.
the PlayStation Store, the Xbox Store, the Nintendo Store, GameStop, Best Buy, everybody's always competing. Amazon now too. They're always competing
Hmm.
for the bottom line and the best prices on the games that are older that they haven't sold as many of, and you can usually pick up some gems.
Yep.
And so I've been trolling Steam like on my day off today, just kind of like, no, I don't want to buy that. No, 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 don't spend money on that.
Hmm.
And so I saw LA Noir, and I'm really tempted to snag it because it was one of my favorite games. They didn't really remaster it, in my opinion, very well for the PlayStation 4,
Mm.
and so I was thinking about snatching it up on PC. But
Yeah.
yeah, something like that, or something like if you have a Nintendo Switch, obviously something anything Mario is usually a home run.
Oh yeah.
And the other game I would recommend is Mario Odyssey for anybody who hasn't
Oh
played
yeah.
it. That is like a go-to classic as far as like their introduction to the new platform of the Nintendo Switch and like where
Mm.
they're gonna go from here with another 3D type Mario game. I'm really looking forward to that. And
Mm.
both hands on with Mario Odyssey and watching my wife pour like 40, 50, 60 hours into the game or more. You can't go wrong with that. The only
Mm.
problem is the game is never on sale.
Yeah. Mario games really don't go on sale.
Yeah.
So there's I've looked at this as far as like Nintendo games are concerned. They have like certain games that are like life of the console games, like Smash, for instance, that will never go on sale.
Hmm.
And for some odd reason, every single Mario Luigi game is just one of those games. It's like, oh, we're never going to release Luigi Mansion 3. Yes, because the next one's going to be called 4. You cheapskates. Like, stop that. Like, it's like, oh, it'll never go on sale. But it does. I think Luigi's Mansion went on sale for $10, but it's like, still, it's like Nintendo really doesn't even drop it to half price. Unlike
Hmm.
Fire Emblem Warriors that they dropped to like, I think it was 60% off. And that's when I picked it up. But you were talking about the Switch Overcooked, man.
Mm.
Great game. But we had reached out actually on Twitter, and if you guys follow us on Twitter at Digital, you guys could have been part of this conversation too. It was open to everybody, but we talked to some of our fellow friends who were content creators. So we talked to Savage TV, and he said God of War would be the game that he would give to someone during the holiday season this year.
That's a
God of
no-brainer.
War, solid game. Solid game. 9 out of 10 coming from me, you know. I mean, coming from me, that's a pretty good score.
That's saying a lot, boy.
Yeah, boy. The one thing is that it's not family appropriate. And we all know here on Digital, we like to stay family appropriate. I'm kidding. We don't really care.
On
Like
the podcast and
on the
live streams
podcast.
on Facebook or YouTube, not so much.
Oh
But
gosh. Yeah, if you watch us on Facebook at the Digital Facebook group, or if you watch us on Twitch at the Digital Twitch channel, or you can watch me individually, Lactide, on there, you'll find out very quickly that we are not family friendly on the live streams. It's a lot of raging on Call of Duty. It's not even raging, it's just aggressive venting. That's what it is.
it's more
Aggressive
like
venting.
three sailors on a dock
Yeah,
complaining about their adventure, and
yeah,
explicatives will fly. But in
yeah.
this day
That's
and age, it's more socially acceptable. So
oh yeah. Yeah, it's not like horrible, but not family appropriate for this cheery podcast today. I mean, it could be. Who knows? Our friends over at the Dark Mode Podcast, a great podcast about the world of IT, and they treat video games like it's their 9 to 5. Recommended Hades. Now, Hades, I've been seeing a lot for. Won an award during the Game Awards this year, and it looked really good. Combat's pretty solid in it. I've got a couple of friends who've played it. I've watched a couple of gameplay videos of it, and the only reason I haven't picked it up yet, just haven't had the time. Honestly, the issue is that once you have games like Call of Duty that you want to sink time into, and then right now me and Matt have been getting a lot of codes from developers to play their game and make content for, so we have a lot of stuff in that backlog, and that backlog grows almost every day. Like we're 3 videos in the hole there that we have to release. So just finding time to play games like Hades is like it's hard. It's kind of and also you got to kind of wait for it to be on sale because then it's like, oh, now I can go and splurge on it. But I did just beat Final Fantasy VII, so it's like I've opened up that RPG area and I immediately started it back up with Final Fantasy VII Remake. So it's like I opened it up and then closed it right back. So I gotta close it out. I might try to close out Octopath Traveler. Might try to. I don't know. I gotta log people. Don't question it. Don't ask me. What have you seen about Hades, Matt?
Nothing other than the tagline that it was like runner up for Game of the Year.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I have never really been into, honestly, like the full transparency, the hack and slash, like sort of old school looking retro games that they kind of have turned into now, and they've like Bloodstained the Ritual or whatever, things like that. I was never like into in the past, but now, given that they've become relevant again, and us being all about modern titles and classic titles as well, it's kind of like now I have to kind of say, okay, give it a shot. And to me, Hades definitely, well, I was even looking at it today, it definitely looks like something that would be extremely enjoyable. So based on the recommendation, I'm definitely looking forward to that one.
Oh yeah, for sure. The thing for me is that I think, well, the vintage aesthetic is coming back, and I think it's because you can do a lot with it now. You can do when you have a game that is made in like 16-bit, with the amount of information you can store on disk now, you can put hundreds of levels, hundreds of codes into it to make a roguelite. Enter the Gungeon, stuff like that. Children of Morta was a great game. That was that style too. So I kind of agree there, where it's like, it's making a comeback, and either you can embrace it or you can hate it. But we got the 2 people actually recommended this. Hard to Kill, another YouTube streamer, and our buddy Kanto Let's Play over at Twitch. OG fan of mine, OG friend of mine, awesome guy. You should check him out. They both recommended Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, and I was originally going to be like, nope. Bought the game 2 days ago. Gotta say, zombies alone was worth it. And that's what Kanto said. Kanto said, too much zombie fanboy. So I agree with him there. Zombies was really the saving grace for me. The gunplay and multiplayer is okay. Bullet velocity is a really big factor in the game, which I don't like because I use the AK, and the bullet velocity and the fire rate on the AK is very slow. But apparently, from everything I've looked at stat-wise, AK is a top-tier gun. Once you put all the last tier attachments on it, so I've got to sit here and use like a stupidly slow gun until it's like a god tier. So just got to grind through it. Until then, I don't know. I like it. It's not bad. But zombies really saved it for me. Zombie knifing is just so fun. I love the knife in the zombies. It's so OP. I don't know. You liked it. You were trying to get me on it for a while.
Well, yeah, just based on like when I originally played the beta on launch, I was really impressed by it. The visuals I was impressed more by than the actual gameplay. But the gameplay, I think they captured their own feel. It almost feels like back when you got me into Star Wars Battlefront, the first one.
Oh, yeah.
We used to play that for hours and hours, and just the gunplay on the ground, it feels very similar. Almost like they kind of took that. I think part of it had to do with the satellite map in the game, but for me, it's the way that they take the focus off of all the cartoonization of the operators, and they make the focus more on the gameplay and all these things happening all at once. There's definitely more action going into a regular match in Cold War than there is in Modern Warfare.
Exactly.
Completely. I mean, and for me, what I actually like is what I also hate about it. So it's a double standard, but I
Yeah.
like the fact that people can camp around corners, and I like the fact, and I hate the fact that they do that as well. But
Yeah.
for me, what I like is the pacing. It's slow, and it's more methodical, and that's more my gameplay style.
Oh yeah. It's a lot more hit markers. Oh my gosh, I get so many hit markers. It's just that was literally me all day yesterday when I was streaming. Hit markers, hit markers. Like, and the worst part is the guy's camping in the corner, and you turn around the corner. The guy's got like a shotgun, like a semi-auto shotgun, and you pull out your gun and you shoot him in the chest twice, and he just blasts you with the shotgun. And I'm like, okay, like I got the reaction times of a cyborg ninja, and this guy just is sitting there with his lawn chair and happens to kill me because hit markers. But
Well, that's a
yeah,
factor too, but for me I think it's more of like the action in itself. Like the you have to think before you do it. In
true.
Modern Warfare you can just go out and play it and do it. You know, Warzone, everyone's still going back to, what I find funny. All these
Yeah,
streamers are still keeping Warzone relevant, which I love. And the integration, shout out to them for that. The two games combining together into Warzone.
mm.
But for me, I like that methodical, slower paced, strategic combat, not just
Yeah,
running around all crazy. And it really
almost like a
makes you
tactical
kind of
shooter.
second
Yeah,
guess and think, and kind of sometimes you'll make more mistakes because of it, and you kind of learn from it.
yeah. It's
So
almost like Rainbow Six Siege when we first played that a little bit.
yeah,
Like how it's a slower tactical shooter, and I agree with that. That it is different. It's a different pacing, and I think that yes, it's a Treyarch game. Treyarch makes really good games, except for their stupid netcode. I don't know what it is about Treyarch and their netcode, but my port is always strict on that. It's only with Treyarch games, and it's only on Treyarch games with PC. But I digress. That's easy to fix, but it always happens on Treyarch games. Um, but here's one that you might like. This is from JT's Reaper, another streamer friend of ours. A lot of the friends who reach back out to us are other content creators, and here at Distant Digital, we collaborate with everybody that we enjoy working with. So more than happy to give these guys shout outs. He said Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
mm,
He said this is now me and Snow. We have a mentality of every dollar we drop into a game is how many hours we should spend in it.
mm-hmm.
You know, which is a great mindset to have. He said this is one of the first games he's ever been able to sit back and easily put in 80 hours in the last year or two.
Wow, okay.
And you've played Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Do you agree with that, or do you have a little different take on it?
So he's completely right, and kudos to him for that suggestion, because that's one I would have easily chosen. But for me, I think it just depends. I've kind of become a different gamer. So before I would actually deep dive into a game and just like complete it on console, platinum it for trophies, do
Mm-hmm.
everything, see everything. Valhalla is a game that starts off painfully slow and small in scale, and then when you get past that introduction and you have to play like, what is it, like 5 or 6 hours before you even see the credits on the screen.
Oh
It
yeah.
rolls up like, oh. So when you get past that and it opens up the territory, it's overwhelming. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, it's kind of becoming a point where if I don't have the time to sit down in it and I have to get up and leave after an hour, it's a disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of what's keeping me from making it like my top recommendation of the year. But as far as like the current games that have come out this year, it's definitely a must play. And I think I'm very curious as to how that factors in the special sword that he found in the game,
Oh,
because
it's
I know
yeah,
you hate axes and like
yeah.
shield and axe gameplay, and I did too, until it kind of grew on me, and only because you can switch hands and you can have like a mace in one hand and
Mm-hmm.
like a ball and chain mace, and then in the other hand you can have whatever you want, and so it makes combat more flexible, and to me
Yeah.
that's the saving grace. um Other than that, I mean, it's a decent game. I love the story aspect of it, which everyone's kind of like, where is this going? I
Mm-hmm.
love the time period and I love the storytelling of it. Not a big fan of the current day stuff that they've kind of forced on you to play. I kind of wish they would just do away with the current time animus stuff and just make it about the past and
Hmm.
that kind of thing. But other than that, it's definitely up there for me.
Hmm. I feel like the reason I didn't get Assassin's Creed was because the one Assassin's Creed game I really want to play, I think I brought this up on the podcast, is Odyssey. I've wanted to
Hmm.
play it, and it it's just really it's really hard for me to go into like an Assassin's Creed game like this where I haven't played it in so long and get into it, get back into that world. Because I mean, it's not really that hard to get into with like, oh, it's Templars versus the Assassins sort of thing. And from this game, they kind of went away from in your face, it's the Templars and the Assassins. They kind of toned that down a bit. And I think that's kind of how Assassin's Creed should start going. And I thought Valhalla was going to be that game. Like people
Hmm.
were comparing it to Ubisoft's The Witcher, which was not, from what I've seen. um, from what I've heard and seen, people are like, "That The Witcher, right? That's ambitious of you to try to claim that." But it's still a good game, you know. And it just for me, unfortunately, it's like there. It's a point where they're going to, I think, either make a really good intellectual property off of the Assassin's Creed franchise, like it's going to change and rechange itself, and that's when I get back into it, or I get into it really late at it where it's starting to lose some of the things that make it Assassin's Creed, you know? And that's kind of the weird place I'm at right now. Is like, do I wait for them to drop the Templars and Assassins thing and then just kind of go off on its own direction? Or do I get in now where they've started to remove that stuff already and just keep it in there so that way it's still an Assassin's Creed franchise game? You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of like it's kind of like Infamous, uh, like Last Light or First Light, where
Hmm.
it's still in that world, but the story itself is kind of separate. And it's the only reason it's still like a Infamous game is because of the powers and how it translates into like the first game. So I get it, but at the same time, it's a standalone DLC, and it was really good, and I really liked it, and I love Infamous and Infamous Second Son. But at the same time, it's like they could have almost pulled it away from Infamous. You know, it was that good and that unique. You know, you could have made a spin-off series, in my opinion, just with First Light alone, but they didn't do that. I mean, they could. They could still do that. I think. Yeah. Let it die. Don't touch that back up. Don't go and ruin it for me.
Well,
um.
see, what they did was from the time period of like the Assassin's Creed Renaissance with Ezio, and then jumping to like Black Flag.
Mhm.
It was, or well, technically no, I can't skip Connor and the whole Native American and
Mhm.
early American settlement kind of thing.
Mhm.
I can't like pass that game because that game to me was decent and it was a nice departure.
Mhm.
However, it wasn't as an extreme a departure away from the Assassins and Templar as it was going to Black Flag.
Mhm.
So if you go from, I'm assuming Origins is the last Assassin's Creed game you've played.
Syndicate.
Syndicate. You
Yeah.
haven't touched Origins.
No.
Okay, so
I did
Origins
not like
was
the
a
idea of beating somebody up with a stick. It was almost like Far Cry Primal in my mind, where you
okay. So
equip a
yeah,
leaf.
you get.
Yeah.
I gotta send them to you because I've got them both.
Okay.
I gotta send them to you. Origins was a great, and actually, I can make that a recommendation if you haven't jumped to the next generation of Assassin's Creed games. Origins was a great start, and it completely does what the name says. It tells you the
Mm.
origins of the First Order and how they came together, the origins of the Assassin's Brotherhood and how they formed, and
Mhm.
just everything, how everything came together. And they built off of that on Odyssey. Then they kept the combat sort of the same and cleaned it up, and
Yeah.
they put it in a new time period, and for
And
the first time where you could be male or female.
yep.
And so,
Badass like
Valhalla,
Spartan thing. Yeah.
yeah, Valhalla builds off of that, and I mean that's it's a huge departure from the Assassin's Creed franchise that you've played
Mhm.
because of the fact that all of that stuff is in the background. What's in the foreground is the Viking era, taking over territories and things like that, and just following the lore of the Norse mythology and everything else. And so
Mhm.
it's like it's this departure from the Assassin's Creed and killing everything, and it's more like a zen game. Like if you just stand out in the environment, you see all these things, and it's really beautiful, and
Kind of like
it's
Ghost of
very zen
Tsushima.
like. and it's very Ghost of Tsushima. And
Yep.
there's little Zen activities like stacking rocks and things like that,
Mm,
and all sorts of things that you can do, making cairns, things like that. And it's a lot of fun. And
mm,
I think they kind of took that from them and said, oh, "Okay, I see what they're doing. We're gonna snatch some of that over here." Ubisoft, you guys do that all
mm,
the time. You take ideas from everywhere and you pop them into your game. But
mm,
yeah, for me, that's what Valhalla is this big ambitious game with so much to do.
mm,
And so far, I've only put like maybe 10 or 12 hours into it because I just don't have the time.
mm.
But I really want to. It's just one of those things you got to have the time to put into it to really appreciate it.
Exactly. Yeah. Uh, Odyssey it's Roman, right? Not Spartan. I think I misspoke earlier. Is it Roman
It's
or is it?
Greek.
It's Greek.
Yeah.
Look at that. You can't. Okay, the Romans copied what the Greeks did, so you can't blame me for saying it was Roman
Let me
people.
for the sake of
Continuity there. I'll let you
yeah.
look that up. Because we were speaking about Ghost of Tsushima. That's a game that I'd also recommend. This year, there were so many good games that came out. And I was talking to a buddy of mine, Tay, and Tay was saying he recommends Last of Us Part 2. And he's like, it's a great game. He's like, despite all the controversy. And I agreed with him. I'm like, visually, mechanically, like, it's a fantastic game. Story's up in the air. It's controversial, which controversy is not bad. And I got to admit, like, it does tell a story. It's interactive. The Ellie playing Take on Me acoustically was awesome. It was fantastic. That part alone, for me, is the best part of the entire game. It was emotional, and it made me feel a specific way. And I hate it for that too, because there is something to be said about a game that can, by somebody playing a guitar, make me feel a certain emotion, and me react to that, knowing this is a game, knowing that this game is dark, knowing that for some people this game makes them emotional. And for me, the first Last of Us didn't make me emotional at all. I wasn't attached to Ellie, but in that one song, that one moment, I felt a connection, and I felt like I was there. And that one moment, for some people, was the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
And I can only imagine then why it's so controversial, is because there's people who come in like me for Last of Us 1, where it's like, it's a good game, wasn't emotionally attached to it. And that's how they feel about Last of Us 2. They weren't emotionally attached to it. But then you get people who are on the opposite end of it, where that Take on Me moment is the entire game, and they're emotionally connected to it, and they love these characters. And I got to experience both sides, because at the end of the day, I was like, the game's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But that one moment made the game a 10 out of 10 for me. That one missable segment made that game a 10 out of 10. If that was the entire game, I said no question it should be game of the year. But then they had me walk all across town back and forth trying to get gas canisters. I'm like, oh, okay, 7 out of 10. Like, But it's a good game to recommend. It's not a family appropriate game once again, but it is a really good game. Despite the fact that there's so much controversy behind it, I think you just got to experience it yourself. And Last of Us right now is on sale.
Mm-hmm.
It's suffering the same thing that Watch Dogs is. Not Watch Dogs. Cyberpunk is, where review bombs are hurting it. So eventually it's going to go on sale. Plus the game's been out for a while, so it's going to go on sale. But I think it's definitely worth picking up as well. So that's a really good recommendation from Tay. Did you figure out the Assassin's Creed thing?
Yes, I did. So it takes place with the Peloponnesian War between the Athens and the Spartans. So you were correct.
Oh, I take back all I said, ladies and gentlemen. I did not misspeak. I was
No, you didn't.
correct. I was correct. Oh, I was correct.
And so you were right. I was wrong. Anyways.
No. I when I was thinking, I was like, oh crap. I'm like, is it the Spartans? I don't want to just stereotype them as the Spartans. For those of you who don't know, my dad was a world history teacher, so like I have to sometimes be like, wait, I can't let this go, otherwise my dad's rolling in his sleep like, oh, he called the Greeks the Spartans. What an idiot mistake. Like, how dare a
So
son of mine could say that?
yeah, yeah. So that it's the Peloponnesian War, Athens and Sparta, and you basically are aligned with whoever you choose because you're a mercenary, and
Yep.
so it kind of throws you into the fray. I wanted just to take 2 seconds here, hopefully quickly wrap it up for The Last of Us 2.
Go
I'm
ahead.
gonna tell people right now, seriously, straight up,
Matt hated it.
every single person in the media that leaked the stuff about what happened in the game were full of crap and incorrect. And that needs to be said. Every single person that intentionally and maliciously leaked the story plot were not
Mhm.
only wrong about who did what, but they were just so malicious they didn't take the time to kind of deep dive and think about it. They just threw it out there. So not only can you see the review bombs and go and laugh at it, but I'm telling everybody seriously, Last of Us 2 is exactly deserving of Game of the Year. And it is by far one of the most emotional, sometimes depressing and sometimes uplifting emotional roller coasters you will ever have in a video game.
Mhm.
Like, just that's my take. The
Yep.
game, the reviews I saw on it where they spoiled the leaks were incorrect. They had the wrong person committing a very bad murder against someone we absolutely adore and love, and they
Mhm.
were incorrect about something about someone who was transgender, which again I took that as just ridiculous to put that out there in the first place. And then they had no real meat and reasoning behind it. And when
Mhm.
you play that game, and just like you said, when she gets on that guitar, I let me paint a little picture for you. So I had my wife at my side from beginning to end, and her mom, who is somebody who loves to sit and watch play video games at the time she was watching it, I had two. So it was me and my wife and my mother-in-law, and we all three of us spent an entire weekend while I played that game from beginning to end.
Mhm.
And for a woman who's in her late 70s, who isn't really a big video game buff but just loves to watch people do things and just loves to be a part of it, she sat there glued to the seat through that
Mhm.
entire experience.
Yeah.
And everyone in the apartment felt the emotions and the toll and the tone of the game. That is something that games today cannot conquer, or some of them do, but very, very few. It's like an elite list. There's only one or two titles
Mhm.
that can do that. And so for me, that is probably the single greatest experience I've had with video gaming in my, you know, 36 years of being alive, 30 years of playing video games. That's the single greatest experience. So nobody take The Last of Us 2 for light. Don't think, oh well, it's crap. You know, they review bombed it. It's garbage. It's this. It's that. Play it for yourself, because day one, I purchased it and it did not let me down. It
Mhm.
was a roller coaster. It was something that you're not going to experience.
Yeah.
So
100%
you
agree
know,
with you on that.
that's my slam on it. And poo poo on the critics that did what they did to just throw that out there and to get themselves noticed, because it was a game that definitely everyone should experience.
Mhm. I think it's a game that everyone should experience. It's not a game everyone needs to love. You know what I mean? But
Right.
it's a game you should experience, because I think that's one of the things that The Last of Us is. It's an experience, and it's not really a game. It's supposed to be an immersive experience. There's, besides Last of Us and that scene with Ellie playing the guitar, which you can find all over YouTube, and you can just sit there and listen to it yourself. It was very well done, very well acted, very good mocap of it. There's only one other game where I've gotten emotional, and that was the end credits of near Automata. And in the end credits, spoiler, this is gonna be a big spoiler for the game. In the end of the end credits, what happens is you have to pretty much play an arcade game with the credits, and it's almost impossible. Now you can do it if you're really good, but it's almost impossible. In order for you to beat it, someone else has sacrificed their saves in order to give you support to help you through the end. And at the very end of the game, it asks, do you want to save your data or do you want to keep it? And now you can help somebody else get the true ending of Nier Automata. And that's where I kind of got emotional because the music changes and that whole ending of the game, you realize because if you die, for instance, your support dies and then another one comes in. So you're literally wiping other people's save data. And now you might not platinum the game at this point. So when you say no because you want to platinum the game, you feel awful because you can't return the favor, which is why when I went back and platinumed the game earlier this year, I went right in there and I deleted my save data and I gave it over to someone else, because it's just such a cool feature. And the game itself, I don't recommend Nier Automata to everyone because it's a niche game. But if you're really big into JRPGs with floaty combat, go ahead. But it makes you think. It makes you think of what it is to be human, And that last question in the game is pretty much saying the fact that you're saving your data, you're almost selfish, and that's okay because that's humans can be selfish. But it puts your morals into question. Like, do you sacrifice your own happiness and success for the greater good of other people, for humanity, or are you going to better yourself at the end of the day? And that, it was very hard for me to walk away from it the first time I played that, So that's, if I compare that to Last of Us's 2.5 minute scene of Ellie playing the guitar, it really is that emotional, because Nier Automata, I've said to this day, is one of my favorite games because of just the end credits alone, and it's fantastic. So yeah, Last of Us 2, I think me and Matt are on the same page. It's not a game you need to love, but it's a game you need to experience. Oh, Moses. I forgot. My buddy Moses, great guy. Played Destiny 2 with him. So the guys at Dark Mode, Taylor, one of the co-hosts of Dark Mode, me and him played in a Destiny clan for Destiny 2, and we ran into this guy, Moses, Yo Moses TV at Twitch. He also has a podcast called Philly Boys. Check it out. They talk about gaming, but not as much as we do. So always come here first. But he's an awesome guy. And he's kind of a goofy guy. He said original PS4 Cyberpunk.
I saw that, yeah.
What a troll. I mean, he's got a point though. I mean, Cyberpunk's a good game. Cyberpunk's a great game if you can get past the book, but not on the original PS4. But I will say it and I will say it again. Or I've said it before and I say it again. 7 out of 10 game, all right, at launch. After patches, 8.5. Oh, what's that? 8.5? I don't know. It's not a 10 out of 10 game. But here's the thing. Let me put this in perspective for you. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, for me right now, even with zombies, is a 7 out of 10. So the fact that I'm putting Cyberpunk up above a Call of Duty game, people are like, "Whoa, Brett loves Call of Duty." It's pretty good. Story's pretty good. Choices you make are pretty good. Bugs are it's not really. It's hardware, people. Like,
it's not game breaking.
Some of it is, but depends on the hardware you're playing on. Honestly,
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think people are upset because I can't play it on the system. Yeah, well, the game was originally supposed to be released for just PC. They could have made the executive decision to just make it a PC exclusive and then next generation exclusive. But no, people would have been like, 8 years in the shoot for a PC exclusive game, and then everybody would have lost. Everyone would have gone batshit crazy. Oh, bat stuff crazy. It's too late. I've already dropped it.
It's staying in.
Yeah, staying in. Merry Christmas to all you. Keep the change.
That's
But yeah,
great.
so
Keep the change.
keep the change, you filthy animal. But I think the the game itself is really good. You know,
Hmm.
Keanu Reeves. I mean, here, okay, I'm gonna get some flack for this. Keanu Reeves is a very good actor for the role he plays. He's not a very like diverse actor. He really just kind of plays John Wick in this game with a little bit of a rock star attitude. He pretty much is John Wick if John Wick was a rock star. And that's kind of who Keanu Reeves is. You know,
Yeah.
I'm back or whatever it is. So it took me a little while because I hadn't seen Keanu Reeves act in a while. Because I've only watched the John Wick movies, and in the John Wick universe, it kind of is acceptable. But then it's like playing Cyberpunk. He's just like, yeah, I'm like, wow. like it's not the most. It's definitely not Last of Us acting.
No.
But I got to remember that's just who he is, and it's like I'm like, wow, I haven't seen him act in a while, so. But he's a great guy. It's just sometimes I forget that, where like it's like, oh, it's he is himself in that game more or less, and sometimes it's like it comes off as, wow, that's really bad acting, but that's not him acting. That's just him being who he is.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I always forget that sometimes. So like there'll be a scene or two where he'll interact with it, and he's like, well, I've already dropped the S bomb, and this is an explicit episode, so I'll just say it anyways. He's like, well, aren't you just the queen of clusterfucks? And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, and then you got to realize, I'm like, oh, that is something that probably someone would say, like, that probably he'd say it exactly the way he says it in the game,
Hmm.
I'm like, oh my gosh. But when I first heard it, I'm like, wow, that was a forced line. But then I'm like, oh, that's just how Keanu Reeves talks. Like, that's the one thing I have against the game is that it took me a little bit of time to get used to. Everybody else in the world acts amazingly. Then Keanu Reeves just acts like himself, and Keanu Reeves isn't like a normal actor.
Hmm.
He's Keanu Reeves. I mean, not hating on him. I'm just saying that he's unique. He's a unique actor. Took me a little while to adjust. I digress. I don't know. It's a great game though. What do you think, Matt?
It is. It is. It's a great game. I'm enjoying just exploring the game and enjoying it on PC more, obviously, for technical reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm loving. The thing about Keanu Reeves I love is the introduction of him into the game
Yes.
and the whole purpose for him being in the game. Now, I'm not going to spoil it, but the reason why he's in the game and how he's added and what he adds to the game is just
he's your twin brother.
To me.
No.
The perfect implementation. I was expecting him to be like a little side character for 2 seconds in the game, and the fact that once you reach Act 2, he's in the game constantly, and when you explore in the world, he's there, and when you do this and that and the other thing, he's there, and the fact that you can collect his outfit, and if you want to kind of like role play as him, you can kind of do that yourself. There's like all this cool stuff in the world where his outfit is strewn about and you have to go collect the parts to make it, and you can get his signature weapon with that really cool reload, So he's a cool dude, man. He's a cool dude. I don't hate on his acting because everything I've ever seen him in, he's just been himself.
Yeah.
And he's just been him, and it works for him. So it's just, man, I love the game. I think that there was just way too much expectation with it, and that's why people are so upset. And people think they're gonna have a lawsuit against them for misrepresentation of the game, and I think that's a bunch of BS. That people should just knock it off and go back to work and enjoy their life.
Did you just say BS, man? I just dropped an F-bomb earlier. You can say what you want to say.
It is what it is. It's bullshit. People sit there and they criticize the art direction. They criticize the content. They criticize the over sexualization. You got to understand, it's depicting a dark, depraved world that could potentially be our future if things were different. And so,
Cyberpunk 2022.
I think it's some of us would say 2021, but we'll see. But the year is only what you make it. I mean, despite everything going on, it's, you could say on one hand or the other, 2020 has been great or bad or both, for me, it's been both. It's been a blessing and a curse in disguise. And then my take is the better side of it is I've learned a hell of a lot from this year, and it's made me a stronger person and a stronger individual, and
Mm.
it's brought my wife and I together just that much more. And so that's the game in itself. Is if you really deep dive in the lore behind it, and you look at all the nooks and crannies, you experience as much as you can. It's not a game that just depicts all bad. I mean, there's a lot of good in the game and a lot of decent people giving you things and giving
Mm.
you opportunities to get things, and there's a lot to it, and people just want to fixate on bugs, glitches. Oh, it's not ready. Oh, it should have stayed in the oven. Oh, this. Oh, that. Oh, well, it's a marketing call. The investors said put it out. Let's poop it out, and we'll fix it.
Mm.
It's a great game. Just get over it. Buy it on PC. Play it on PC. Clearly,
If
the
your
next
PC can
gen
handle it.
consoles it handles fine. It
Yeah.
handles beautifully on PC. Probably the best anywhere. It's just the current gen crowd's left out of it, and
Mm.
it kind of sucks. But other than that, man, it's a great game. I would highly recommend people play it. It's just you don't have to get it now, but just play it and
Yeah.
see for yourself. And
Yeah.
a buddy of mine, Steven, who just got it. I didn't want to throw it out there, but I was kind, and in the holiday spirit, I gifted him a copy of the game on PC, and he has a much older PC than you could ever possibly imagine.
Mm.
And he runs it beautifully. He's enjoying it. He's playing the game, so clearly they've got their stuff together in the less than a week or week to less than 2 weeks that it's been out.
Mm.
They've gotten their stuff together, and they've gotten it optimized on older platforms for PC. So,
Mm.
I mean, so the holiday spirit, giving him the game, he's enjoying it, he's loving it, and I'm super thrilled to have been able to offer that and to give that opportunity to someone to experience something that everyone's saying, oh, they don't like it. And he's not a fan of single player games like that. He doesn't like RPGs. But he's just like drawn to this game. And
Mm.
so that's why I'm like, okay, I've got a unique opportunity from GOG. Let's just drop it on him and hook him up and make his Christmas. And, he's a new dad who's got bills and responsibilities, and he can't afford it. So I figured, a little bit of generosity goes a long way, and see what turns out and see what happens, and it's win-win. So that's why I'm so positive about the game, is because people just need to get over it.
Yeah.
The Witcher on launch was terrible. There was bugs,
Yep.
glitches. Geralt was like flipping around, and the horse was like annoying.
Roach
and
would
never come
eject
when
you
call
like
him.
across the map. Yeah. I remember that stuff.
But look at the end product that you
Yeah.
can still go back how many years later and play and enjoy. That's
Yeah.
what it's about.
That's what I've been telling people is if people are complaining about it, and I'm like, Cyberpunk is a benchmark game for newer generation hardware. It is a game that 4 years from now people are going to be like, does it run on Cyberpunk? Let's see the frame rates on Cyberpunk. Oh, let's turn ray tracing on. Oh, look, you get 80 FPS on 4K. Like, that's what the game's going to be. It's going to be the next Control. Control, people are like, what? Why you bring up Control? Control, when it first came out, was a RTX like demo, more or less. It was just literally there to show ray tracing. And it's a fantastic looking game. Gameplay is pretty good. It's all right. But the fact of the matter is that it was more or less a showcase for the technology. Cyberpunk is a game that utilizes a lot. So ray tracing, you've got further draw distances than normal. That physics engine's okay. I mean, there's not really like real physics in the game, but there's a lot that it draws from. It's not as optimized as it should be, but the fact of the matter is that the possibilities for like ray tracing, hair effects, all this stuff is implemented in. DLS is fantastic. If there's one thing you can take away from that game, their DLS technology for resolution scaling is amazing. That is what's saving the game, is DLS in the early days. And the fact that they got that down packed, it gives you a great look into the future of how people will be able to perform more with less hardware, because even though you set your settings to like ultra, the resolution is dynamic. When you have DLS on, it automatically does that, and the GPU is able to adjust that for you. So you don't have to necessarily change everything yourself when the computer knows what it can handle in certain areas. So DLS
Exactly.
is in that game is amazing. Other stuff takes time, takes experience. Like I was talking about their control settings, takes experience for them to be able to get there. People who are not sensitive to dead zones. Like if you're not used to playing tight first person shooters, it's you're not going to notice it because you have nothing to compare it to, you know. Um, so if you come in with the mentality of somebody who comes in with an expectation of a AAA shooter, and then you get Cyberpunk, you just have to realize that they're coming from a third person, like Witcher like mechanics. So it's kind of a meat middle, like, you know. So the fact that they were able to do this much with so little experience in a AAA shooter genre, it's pretty remarkable at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
you know. CD Projekt Red, I think, is they still make a great product. The game, even though the experience was bad, the game is still good, and that's what I've said. The game's good, experience is bad. Will I return it? No. And I think people who have returned the game I don't know if you've seen this, Matt. People have returned the game and are upset that they don't have the game anymore.
I saw that in the news today.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
and
like,
my wife and I kind of laughed at that for like
yeah,
a few minutes. Yeah.
they're like, they're issuing a refund. Why is the game removed from my Xbox? Do you know what a refund is, man?
Yeah.
Yeah, you forfeit the good. Like there's like it's
but I
not in their
want you
terms
to
and
pay
conditions.
me to play your game. No,
Yeah.
it doesn't work like that.
Yeah. It's like it's unplayable anyways on your Xbox. That you claim it's unplayable on your Xbox, but you still want to play it. Like, so I think Cyberpunk's a good game, you know, and it's a little too bad. Earlier when I was talking about Keanu Reeves, I just want to clarify before someone puts a comment that I hate on Keanu Reeves. It's not that I was hating on Keanu Reeves. It's just I haven't seen him act in a while, and I forget how he acts. That's all I was saying. I know I'm gonna be tossing and turning at night thinking that someone thinks I hate Keanu Reeves as an actor. I don't. It's just that I haven't seen him. I saw The Matrix when I was 12, and that was the last time I saw Keanu Reeves in a movie. I didn't see John Wick. You know, I've seen bits and bits, and it's him going. It's him going. Like,
yeah.
You know, like throwing a guy into a wall. You know, and so it's all of him. It's him grunting half the time.
Since we have this format with this episode in this year, and we're talking about like Keanu, just to take on Keanu Reeves, I think the fact that you look at John Wick, you see a professional assassin,
Yeah.
and a guy who is not one in real life, and you see a guy who dedicates, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but his martial arts training background and his gun training background,
I love it,
is what qualified him for this, and his attention to detail and bringing that into this film. The entire franchise, no matter what you say about the writing, is fantastic. John Wick 1, 2, and 3, highly recommend it. Also, a sleeper was the new Bill and Ted, the sequel. We went to see that in the theater with a former coworker of mine, Jessica, and my wife and I kind of took her out and treated her to the movie. We loved it. And I mean, he's not going to win an award for best performance in it, but as a whole, what it represents, it made 2020 fun during this horrible situation. Everyone's up in there and all this stuff's going on, all this drama. You go to the movie, you know, we've all got our masks on, and then we're comfortable enough so we can take them off and sit down and relax. And it was a great experience. We loved it. It was everything we expected. And, you know, for a Bill and Ted sequel, it was great. And, you know, again, his acting is not going to win awards, but he's just being himself.
Yep.
And
he's the nicest guy ever too.
And it's not over the top. I mean, everything I've seen him in, I've liked, and, you know, he's just a cool guy. And he, you know,
cool guy, nice guy, you know.
Just don't hurt his dogs.
Yeah, don't hurt his dogs. No, 100% agree with you on that. But no, he's a great guy. And have you seen him do his 3-gun?
I don't think so.
Oh my gosh. His 3-gun runs, fantastic.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. It just clicked. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a very big 3-gun fan, so I let the cat out of the bag there, people. I like 3-gun. I play Call of Duty. You guys should expect that. But anyways, we're running a little long here on this episode. We're gonna actually try to keep it shorter, but we just got into it so much. Like that's what just happens on the podcast here. We just kind of get on a tangent and go off and
Hey,
talk
usually
about
it's
games.
me on my chatty Cathy tangent, and now this time it's you. But that's
Yeah,
all right, man. It's
for
the
sure.
holidays. That's what
It's
it's
a
all
holiday.
about.
So thank you guys for tuning in so much to the podcast. We really do appreciate it. If you guys ever have any questions, feel free to reach out to us on Twitter at DistaDigital or our Facebook group as well. We also have an Instagram where you guys can see some stuff that we update every now and then as well. And we also keep you guys posted in our Discord where we have just general discussions every day about games, more or less, and what's going on in our life. But anyways, we want to give a special thanks also to some of our fellow content creators who really helped put together this holiday gift gaming idea. Once again, you should definitely check them out. We've got Savage Gaming, Dark Mode Podcast, we've got the Kanto Let's Play, and we've got Hard to Kill and JT's Reaper, who actually have a podcast themselves on sports. I believe it's called H2K and JT's Reaper. We will have stuff like that in our Discord, and we'll definitely try to redirect you guys to some of their stuff. We'll like some stuff. We follow them. So we'll keep you updated with that. And check out Dark Mode. It's another podcast. Friends of ours as well, the show. And then Yo Moses TV. Great guy as well. So special thanks to those guys. And special thanks to everybody who has been communicating in the comment sections. Your input and your feedback has really, really helped us grow the channel to what we want it to be. Your guys' comments, even if it's just like the fire emote or emoji that Sunto Kage was saying on not Facebook, on YouTube, it gives us confidence, and it gives us, a reason to keep uploading, so we really appreciate it. And Matt, what do you got to say on that?
Oh yeah, I just want to give a special thanks to everybody, not only everybody who's commented, but everybody who's taken a look for 2 seconds at our Facebook page, looking at our social media, on our website, any kind of exposure that we've had, anybody that's given us an opportunity to let us in and to check out our content, we really appreciate it. Man, everyone's made this possible, and I was given a gift and lucky enough to be able to get on this PC train and just get on the computer and do some magical things. And I want to give a special thanks to you as well, buddy. You've been a tremendous help in all of this, making all this possible. And without support from you, my wife, and our close friends, I probably wouldn't have been able to do this and make this possible. So
Yeah, I appreciate that too.
I'm extremely thankful for you and for my wife and just everyone that's been involved in helping us. Robert as well, making us some killer beats and being very supportive and very helpful in our after podcast discussions and on Discord as well. So yeah, just thank you to everybody who's given us an opportunity and given us a chance. And yeah, we look forward to making as much content as possible. We are just two friendly guys who love to just hang out and play games with our friends. We do have full-time jobs, so that kind of takes precedence, but we definitely want to put out some more content on YouTube. I would love to do some gameplay, some Last of Us, some Uncharted, some everything. We are going to shortly be putting out a game. Was it Brother Wake Up?
Yep, Brother Wake Up.
That we received a special code for to play. And thanks to you, I was able to play it. And you guys are going to get to laugh at me getting jump scared out of my mind for a few minutes. So yeah, but we love creating this content, and we just, I'm tickled that you guys have checked us out, and all of our family and friends have been involved, and strangers that we don't know as well, thanks to marketing and all that stuff. So we really appreciate everyone, and I'm looking forward to what 2021 has to offer, man.
Yeah, my final thanks, I have to obviously thank Kylie for being such a trooper. She's very supportive of the podcast. She's commented a couple times. She's given her feedback to me, so I really do appreciate that. And I also want to give a big shout out to our special guest star in the Dista Digital promo for this episode, Ridley the cat. Made a great appearance on the Instagram video as well. And a special thanks to Ori the black cat. Ori has been on the podcast a couple of times. He's a little troublesome, but he's starting to grow on me again. Like, Like he caused me grief, but like at the same time, then he comes and cuddles up, and I'm like, okay, I forgive you. You know, so gotta
Yeah,
give a
cats
special
do
shout out to the cats, and Kylie, of course. And then that's I don't think my mom, my dad, just to be safe. I got
Cover your bases.
just in case they're listening. Gotta give a special shout out to them. Is there anyone you want to that you're like, oh, my boss, maybe, like anything like that? But you,
So yeah, no,
yeah,
I
and you, of
mean,
course. I'm very
I don't
thankful
think
for
my
you.
I appreciate that. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think my boss is too much of
a gamer.
I mean, he's a great guy, but I don't think he watches. I don't think he would know how to get on Facebook and check it out. Because that's kind of what I bring to the company is kind of
okay.
like the social media presence and
Okay.
the different kind of management skills set. So
Mhm.
him and I work great tandem back and forth, and so I've been undergoing a lot of training, and it's been a great experience. And I think this new job, finally no longer in retail, and doing this, man, suit and tie every day. I mean, I was kind of tempted to do that for the podcast just to like look a little cleaner. But last thing before I go, I just wanted to share. A couple of years ago, the greatest Christmas gift I have ever gotten was the most out of the blue. Wasn't expecting it. Was my number 12, the goat, Aaron Rodgers, authentic hand stitched Packers jersey. Shout out to my wife Jennifer. That was just like the greatest Christmas gift ever. I wasn't expecting it. Caught me off guard, and I've been wearing it every game time for Packers. The only thing that sucks is that I can't watch them all the time down here in Texas, which sucks. But
Oh, you gotta watch the Dallas Cowboys.
no.
Yeah, I would rather watch paint dry. I don't know how you can survive down there. I feel so bad for you sometimes.
Keeping the cheesehead spirit alive. That's how You'd be surprised, man. There's a lot of Packer fans. There's actually a Packer bar down here. Check out. Buddy at work told me about it. The guy that works for us told me about a Packers bar down in Katy here, where he was a Cowboys fan and he walked into the thing and he looked and he turned around. He was gonna walk right back out, but they accepted him and they gave him shit all night. But I mean, he was wearing a Cowboys jersey walking into a Packer bar, so
yeah. Hey, I mean, I don't blame him for wanting to leave there. I mean, I wouldn't be wanting to wear that trash either. Oh gosh. Anyways, we're getting off track here. Thank you guys so much for tuning into Dis to Digital. And you guys have a great holiday, whatever it is. But from all of us here at Dis to Digital, have a very happy Diskmas. Make sure you say that right if you tell it to people.
Merry Diskmas, everyone.
Yeah.
Have a great one. Stay safe. Take care. Hug each other. Take care.
Socially distance when you hug each other.